Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Capsule Cast. This is the final Capsule Cast of the 2022 season. I'm your host, Anthony, with my co hosts, xmat
Hello.
and my boy, Destiny,
Hello.
with very special guests, Coach Muscle, Coach of Muscle, and, well, spoiler, bowl winner, Hey Ryan, let's play.
We
And
champions, my friend.
super extra special guest because he's never here. Staff member, former coach of Androids and Budokai, Mao.
Hello.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Feeling good?
Yeah, good. Doing good. Had to work.
Same.
Uh,
All right. Ready to move? Ready to get this train moving?
Yeah.
All right. First up, we got the MVP tournament. There were some highlights, some lowlights, some pretty close matches, couple KOs, and at least one or two matches that ended in about 2 seconds. As we can see, Cell is the champion. He has a little crown there. Very cute. Why don't we go around the table and just, some thoughts, some moments from there that you guys enjoyed. See what you want. We'll start with xmat, my boy. What are some interesting things from the MVP tournament?
Cell being a god. There you go. Just deciding to wild sense kick people into the ground. It was just Cell and Bosch's tournament, wasn't it? It was just. It was that they have the same like animation when they kick people to the ground, and
That's true.
They just clapped people with it. Is there anything? Who was it that wrung themselves? I swear there was another person that wrung themselves out by just flying directly into the wall, but I can't remember
Piccolo.
who it was.
Yeah, there was late Piccolo because people were joking about like father like son.
Yeah. Didn't he win
my
last year too?
Yeah, he did.
Cell-
Light Piccolo won
Cell-
last year.
Ole Piccolo. I thought he won last year.
It might have been. I don't remember that far back.
Mal, you have any memorable moments from the MVP tournament?
I like the canon matchup of Krillin and Kid Goku. Krillin won this time.
Well, he did go back in the past to be the kid version of him.
Yeah, he did. He. And then I also I love it when people ring themselves out in these matches. So, but yeah,
Okay.
we'll have more to talk about on that one when we get to the new stuff later.
Oh yeah. Can't wait for that. Ryan, real quick, MVP tournament. What were your thoughts?
Honestly, I was expecting, with how often Kid Trunks gets to the finals, I was expecting him to get to the finals, but didn't he get eliminated like round one?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So, a very different change of pace from what we normally end up seeing during the MVP from seasons past.
Yep,
Nice.
I love it.
All of my favourites were like knocked out in the first round. I really thought Gohan Boo was going to go far, and then he just got knocked out round one. And then
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
Literally in 2 seconds.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, round us out, Destiny. What you got?
Got two things. One of them is, I think people were surprised how well Krillin was doing, especially since his grab knocks them down. So if you
Yeah.
grab people above the ring out, you can just get a free knockdown. Get a free win.
I thought it was Krillin C. I thought it was Kreezen. Okay. What it wasn't.
Reason.
But I'm surprised no one talked about the Cell versus Metacooler match.
That was
Oh
intense.
god,
for
yeah.
sure.
I
It
remember
was
now.
intense.
Yeah.
You,
Like,
at one moment you thought Metacooler was running out. One moment you thought Cell was running out.
yeah.
Yep.
If you have time, go watch that match specifically. It was a fun one, for
Yeah.
sure.
Also, the Cell versus Fashion one is fun to watch because literally they both have basically the same combo.
Yeah. It's whoever got it off first. Won.
Hmm.
Well, shoot. I'm looking forward to next year's MVP tournament. Hopefully, we'll change it up, do something cool. And
The Majub and Gohan match was also very intense as well.
It was.
I think for like 30 seconds they were just both hovering right above the wall.
They were.
That's amazing. Oh, shoot. We have any more thoughts on this, or are we ready to move on to the new thing that happened this year?
I'm ready for the new.
All right, the new. We have Boss Rush, okay? The 4 bosses of DBZ, Scouter, Frieza, Cell, and Kid Buu, on the most devious of Mao builds, on all the Red Pataras, okay? I've been hearing about these guys for a while now. They've been hyping it up. And, yeah, I'm not going to give a full recap, just saying North Kai, very close to winning, like less than a bar. East Kai won, West Kai lost, and South Kai lost. Mal, why don't you tell us about the thought process in making these guys and what your expectations were?
I mean, it was basically we designed this to be a much more concise gauntlet, just because we did not want another. For lots of reasons, the gauntlet made the bowl very hard to run, and so we wanted to address a lot of those problems while still maintaining the spirit of the gauntlet. And surprise, surprise, having a 4-round event condensed into one and maintaining the whole idea of these are BS builds and it should be hard to do that is hard to do in one round, because it's like it really is easier just to say, hey, just give everybody +4 to everything, give them all the health, and make it impossible to beat. And so there was a lot of restraint. We had to tone down these builds several times to make it winnable. Maybe a little too much, because first 2 rounds we did not see the level of ult spam from Kid Buu that he showed in our tests. But it was all in all a very successful first time around, I think.
Hey. I thought it was pretty hard. My team got mopped up. But
Yep.
Speaking of teams, Ryan, you were there live looking at it. What did you think of your team's performance? Didn't quite get the win, but honestly, you kind of did.
We didn't quite get the win, but I'm fast forwarding through the video right now. I literally think we were like 1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, it was super close. It was like
where we were like super close, and then East Kai just like demolished the gauntlet. And we had been hearing about like, oh yeah, this boss rush is going to be pretty hard. It's going to be on similar power level of some of the gauntlet runs, in which then when it's like, oh hey, it's the first time running this, and essentially 2 teams won. Like, okay, was that really a challenge? But then once we got into West and South Kai,
it was rough.
That's where we started seeing some issues.
Yeah.
No, I think it was fun. It definitely cuts down. I know Mal ended up saying like it makes it difficult to run. It also cut down the length of the bowl by
an hour.
Yeah, about an hour or so, if not longer. So it does make it easier on the streamers as well.
Yeah, and because like to put it in perspective, if you look at the final run time after we got through all the technical difficulties, because it's the bowl, of course we had technical difficulties.
Of course.
It was 2 hours and 20 minutes. A normal main season week is about 2 hours. And so
that's pretty good.
Yeah, like, and that was a big motivation for us, because we by the end of the season, staff is tired, streamers are tired, everybody is tired, and having this long 5-hour stream is just rough.
Oh yeah.
And I think it also helped that this year, I can't remember if we did it last year, you might remember, Ryan, but like, I also think it helped that we just kind of did each event all together, and we didn't switch between events. Because I know that's
I think last year it was. I'm looking at the 2021 playlist right now. It looks like it was round 3, gauntlet round 1, MVP, the rest of the gauntlet, and then matches 2 and 3. So just being able to do all of the events at once definitely helps. And then compare, yeah, like it from last year where we had a couple of round 2 and round 3 for gauntlets, it saved an hour. So if we still had the regular gauntlet and somebody somehow miraculously made it to round 4, or every team somehow made it to round 3,
Oh no.
you know, we're saving more time by just having this one round fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Increasingly difficult, increasingly harder people.
yeah, and
I enjoy it.
yeah, and I will say, like, for a fair warning for all the teams, don't get complacent. We do plan on having a revision and retuning based off of the learning experience, and so that, you know, we because it's one round and we want it to be difficult, we probably won't be revealing our builds until after you guys do. But, you know, realistically, we'll have our builds, you know, figured out during the off season, and, you know, then you guys get to plan for a whole new lineup.
Sounds
So-
awesome.
Sounds
Yeah.
scary.
Oh, you guys, people complaining. You know, there were people who said, "Hey, we want to see more of people we don't normally see. We want to see all this and that." Well, next season, you may not be as disappointed on that front.
If only there wasn't a certain character Ixnade, we could have had a similar thing where instead of the Dragon Ball Z arcs, we used the Dragon Ball arcs.
Blue would not have been included in that particular lineup.
Oh, that's
But-
sad. That hurts.
Oh.
That was his main thing.
Big rip.
Now, I have a question for Xmat.
Mhm.
After the event, when your team won in East Guy, you were saying some things about the opposing Frieza. He wasn't anything compared to your Frieza. Why was that? Why do you think that was?
He's
Why
on
don't
the
you tell
wrong. He must be on the wrong AI. There's no other explanation.
Yeah.
He doesn't use his full power. He uses psychokinesis like 17.
What AI is the correct
It-
AI?
The
I'm
correct
curious.
AI is Yajirobe AI. You saw what Frieza did against Frieza. Also, you need to have him on costume 2 until the new costumes come out, and then you put him on costume 4, obviously.
I see.
Right. I'm
Now,
I'm just happy. Like, I feel like everyone on East Kai, everyone did their job. Cooler, Frieza, MV, like
They really did.
and then Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta just like cleaned up quite quickly as well.
Y'all got the first couple matches just got really lucky because Kid Buu just did not ult at all.
Yeah, that was.
And like, I'm doing these tests, and like, I'm used to seeing like 3 to 5 like 24k ults every single round, and like, even going through it, I'm like, okay, this might still be too hard. We might need to tone it down. You know, in Kid Buu's defense, he spammed as much as he could. He just couldn't hit. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from 5 feet away.
Yeah. Yeah.
so he kept hitting the side of the highway.
Yeah. So
I-
like,
Or just
Yeah.
people
Oh, go ahead.
dodging immediately.
yeah.
Mal, I have a question for you before we go too deep. What was Frieza's AI? Can you reveal it?
You know, you can't
We-
answer that.
I cannot reveal that because that's
Oh.
effectively free testing for teams.
Don't worry. He's not going to use anything but Yajirobe, so it's okay.
Yeah, Yajirobe's already going with the source. I'm not going to switch it from that to that, am I? I'm not going to switch it to whatever the gauntlet was or the boss rush build was. Because Frieza beat Frieza, bro.
See, his head's too big already. He doesn't care. Destiny, as a fellow South Kai member. We got beat. I was very confident in our team. What do you think is going to happen next year, considering you're going to be on a similar team with 3/4 of the members? Are you going to do it again? Or are you going to...
I won't have Cell to botch my match this time.
Oh, playing talk.
What do you mean? I mean, Cell did a 20k ping pong combo. I don't think that's botching.
Yeah, perfect Cell's kind of going with the sauce. Forget super perfect. Been it.
The perfect Cell that was in our match before it was reset.
Oh, yeah, that was cursed.
I came in here with friendly intentions, okay? I didn't want to say it. It was a bad seed, alright? It was a bad seed. As soon as I saw
I knew it was a bad seed.
I knew.
Oh, it's a bad seed.
What is it? I think it's going to be... I definitely think it's going to be harder, considering how North Kai almost won it. Was literally in a melee combo, and East Kai did win it. But I just don't know what they can do to make it harder other than, build changes. Because, Mal, didn't you say that these were basically the weakest builds?
Oh, these were certainly toned down. From what they could have been. Like, a really good example is, Frieza could have run, like, Ultimate Warrior 2 or 3. I actually started Kid Buu on Ultimate Warrior 4. Just another easy one would have been putting Cell on Limit Breaker, which is basically the exact same build he had, except it's +3 to all stats, instead of just attack +3, and then he would have had like nothing left of the rest of the build, because that would have been everything that Limit Breaker had. And now there's some new Red Pataras that are also there, like, and I kicked myself for not realizing this until after I had distributed the ISO, but we have a new Red Patara called True Fighting Spirit, which is combining all the stat up as your health decreases. I should have named it Ultra Ego. I should have.
You really should have.
I may do it in the off season if I get permission, because I do have one more release of the ISO for when we get all the B2 renames done. But and since you guys don't get to care about Red Pataras, I can make any changes I want there. So just I'll put it up on the website so you guys will know it's an option for us. But that is your only help on these events, is going to the website and looking at what's available on the Red Pataras. So
I can't wait for next year's boss rush. It's gonna be really fun.
There's no Cell next year though, unless you pick Imperfects, bro.
We have plans. That is all I'm gonna say, and I am already looking forward to it, because this is my chance to go hog wild, and I am looking forward to seeing whatever you guys can come up with and just backhanding it back into the ground.
Can't wait to win next year.
Yeah, you're gonna have to borrow some winning from me, right? So maybe we can cut a deal. Maybe you can win. No Cell. It's banned.
All right.
I have three theories what's going to be next year. It's either going to be A, 5 increasingly harder Cybermans on like stupidly broken builds.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
B, an ISO where all 5 Frieza forms are able to be on one team.
Oh my god.
Or C, an ISO where all 4 Cell forms can be on.
That's tough too.
That would be insane.
I have a theory. They add an extra member and make it all movie bosses.
That'd be cool.
No, that's actually a very legitimate one.
Yep.
So, if we were to mod, yes, 2 of those theories are possible. For the first one, I can tell you that is not an idea I have had for Boss Rush. That is an idea I've had for other things, but we will get into that later, if and when the opportunity arises.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Still a mystery. I know Ryan's been chomping at the bit to get to this next match. To get to the ball. He wants to talk about it. All right, here we go. The actual bowl match, it went to 5, so very close. I'm not gonna go into too many details since Ryan's here. I know he's ready to go. But we'll just do round 1, 2, 3 to make it simple. Round 1, Rugrats, beat up Muscle. Round 2, very close match, but Muscle, you know, took the wind out of Rugrats' sail. And round 3, deceptively a stomp, in my opinion. Because let me tell you, in that voice chat, we thought it was close. I genuinely forgot that Devilman was a character, and when he tagged in, I was like, oh, okay. Muscle won. All right.
yeah, everybody kind of forgot about Devilman. And as much crap as you guys get, a very good job. It was a very entertaining match, and you guys put in a ton of work, and it's
I
a
said it
well-deserved
before, yeah.
victory.
This was
Yep.
out of the 2020 matches for 2020 to 2022. This was the best because it went to 5 and it was pretty close a couple of times. So, hey, it was the best bowl so far.
Absolutely. I will say, I don't think Muscle should have gotten to the bowl. I'm happy we got there and won, but I'm going to say this: I don't think we should have gotten past the quarterfinals because we were fighting Earth Defenders. We got eluded against twice of the 3 matches, and yet we still somehow won.
You guys this is why I kind of joked in the Capsule Cast chat that you just sold your soul to Devilman to get these bowl victories. Like,
a little bit when
like,
the semifinal is cold and you can immediately do 20,000 damage. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, and it's like had Boojans won their week 15, you would have
They did.
or like if Boojans had won one more match, you guys would have been out. If
Resurrected Warriors would have been out.
RW, yeah, like, but if just that any number of things, like given how close your division was, if the tiebreakers had gone a little differently and you had been against RW and first instead of ED, that would have been another chance for you to lose. But no, you just went straight to ED, and both of those teams could have taken you out. And then, as you said, like Cold, if Frieza hadn't I can't remember if was it Frieza.
Round 1, Frieza could have just Nova Striked and won.
It was Frieza and Cooler.
Yeah, but like like all your matches up through the bowl were 2-1, if I remember correctly. I mean, there were so many things that could have just gone wrong, but it was just like, oh, it's Muscle, that they can go to the bowl. We don't want to fight through that. And I mean, I joke, but that's kind of what it seemed like when you look at, like, as we said with Cooler, like Frieza and Cooler, like just one match each. They just did nothing, and it wasn't even they did bad. It's just they didn't do anything.
Also, round 1, Frieza could have won it as well because he had I think Trunks was on 1 bar and Frieza was on 1 bar. He had full key, and he didn't do any B2s. He just ran into Trunks. That made me sad.
But yeah, no, we were also running with Raccoon, who had not been performing really he had 1 pop-off during the season. I think when I ran the stats yesterday, because I did a whole 2020 total where it adds the playoff and the main season all together and gets you a true average for what the character did over the season. Raccoon's average was just shy of 22,000. He was like the 3rd weakest character, and we used him more than we used Devilman. So like switching to Devilman for Cold and then deciding to keep Devilman against for Rugrats, even though his ult wasn't going to do anything, we saw that like during the Cold matches and during the rounds 1 and 2 against Rugrats, not counting Overkill, Devilman was consistently doing around 30,000. which was a hell of a lot more than what we were seeing Raccoon do, where he was doing like 12,000 or 10,000.
Plus,
Yeah.
two out of 3 of his ults would have worked anyway, even if he charged up. As long as he went against Freezer or Cell Jr., he's going to do like.
It wasn't going to connect because it wasn't King Cold.
Well, that's true. He only hits King Cold.
But no, yeah. It's great we won, but I'm going to chalk it up to what I've been talking about probably since we got to the playoffs, which is the Champions Tower conspiracy. Does everyone know what this is?
It is the conspiracy where Ryan sold his soul to Devilman to get victories in the bowl every other season.
He sold his soul to Devilman on Muscle Tower.
No, so yeah, Muscle Tower 2020, Muscle had it as their home map, Muscle won the bowl. 2021, Royals took it from Muscle for their home map. Royals won the bowl. 2022, Muscle has the map, Muscle then wins the bowl again. So it's like whoever has Muscle Tower, they're going to be the champions.
God damn, I wanted that conspiracy quashed. I didn't want that to be a thing, but it is.
But in like actual seriousness, the I think it was round 4 against Rugrats. Like that one was very close. We were down a match, so it was 2-1 to Rugrats. I thought we weren't end up going to get the championship, but the matches against Rugrats, not counting the 5th one because that one was more of a stomp, were very good matches, very close in the 4, and so it was a very fun bowl to be a part of. Also very nerve-wracking.
Does this feel like your best win so far? Out of all of the
I'd say it's my hardest win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, considering the position you were in.
I think 2020 was probably like the best win. 2022 was definitely one of the harder wins. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all I can really think of. Other than like I've been the coach since the before times for 7 seasons now. Made it to the bowl 4 times. Yeah, made it to the bowl 4 times and won twice. So 50% record basically.
That's pretty
I'll
good.
take it.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good record. Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Rugrats could have done to maybe? I guess this is for everybody, but Destiny first, I guess. What do you think Rugrats could have done to swing this match back? Maybe different build or like different character. Maybe they bring in Pan. I don't know. What would you have done if you were Rugrats?
I don't really know. It's like they tried Goten at the start and he kind of got stomped. Then they tried Cell Jr. at the start and he was only like 50-50. I just think they were a little too reliant. Or it's not like any of their characters, could have won, in my opinion. It's just this decided to be the matches where Trunks did not want to really work.
I mean, should they have used Gotenks?
I mean, honestly, they probably could have.
I mean, maybe it would have been better than those two. I don't know. What was everybody else think?
I don't remember if Goten and Trunks did a lot. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I would just say probably no on the Gotenks, and if anything, I think Rugrats played the best they could. There's no way they could have seen a 13 starter, and if they had perfect, if they could go back and had hindsight and all that, keeping Goten as a starter would probably have done better for them.
Or Rayleigh.
One of those two could have done well, but there's no way for them to have known that at the time. I think if you're Rugrats, you come out of round 1 and 2, you see Goten getting manhandled by Trunks, and you're like, okay, well, we can't risk that happening again. And so you assume Trunks is coming out again. All right, well, let Cell Jr. be a sacrificial lamb. Let him do the damage that he can. who knows? Maybe he can even get some good surprise combos off because of Solar Flare, and you know, and given as well as Cell Jr. really did in the bowl and in the playoffs as a whole, who knows? Maybe he can go equal with Trunks again. Maybe he can go equal with Trunks and just, you know, you sacrifice one of your weaker characters to take out probably one of the biggest dangers on Muscle. I think they just played it the best they could. The rest of it was just RNG.
Yeah, I think because having seen the crush that we gave Rugrats in round 1 and 2 with Trunks versus Goten, we were initially thinking they're going to end up trying to do something to counter the melee that is Trunks. So we were thinking that they were going to end up doing a Rayleigh, since a Rayleigh has really good melee and could probably put up a decent wall against Trunks, which would then give them Savior on Cell Jr. If they wanted it. And so that's the whole reason why we switched to 13, in which I think last year it was either Trunks versus Cell Jr. or 13 versus Cell Jr. And Cell Jr. didn't really get a great way to play last time in 2020. But
Yeah.
I think if I was Rugrats, I think the only thing would have been, instead of giving a sacrificial lamb to Trunks, is probably put out another heavy hitter that they have with a Rayleigh to try and take out Trunks.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Do we have any more thoughts on Rugrats real quick? Or...
I think that I think the only thing that, like, obviously in hindsight you can look at is the kid. They had to switch the kid Trunks build because he wasn't working. But, like, I feel because they switched him back to Key 2, right? What he was on.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, like, he wasn't working on Super 2 anyway, so it's kind of like they had to switch it in a way. So can you really blame them for switching? Not really.
Yeah, that's fair. Before we move on, I want to give you the floor to talk about Muscle and next season going forward and why people should join Muscle, since this is the last time you're going to be able to talk about your team. You know, I try to do this with most people I bring up here when it's the last time, so now it's your turn. Tell the people why they should care about Muscle next season and join.
I mean, okay, so for meme culture, if you like the big burly man, then come join Muscle. But if you're one of those like competitive people that like enjoy winning these virtual championships,
Yes.
Again, I've been a coach for 7 seasons. Out of the 7 seasons, I've gotten our team to the bowl 4 times, and out of those 4 times, I've won twice. So essentially, if you just look at the very basic math, in which, you know, it might not be right, there's a 25% chance that Muscle will get to the bowl and win every season that way.
So you are the Tom Brady New England Patriots.
I don't cheat. Don't put that out there. No.
I mean, who's the Tom Brady on your team? I don't know, man.
13 of Trunks, both.
13. We
So,
all have a Tom Brady, okay? We all have a little cheater on our team.
So next season we're getting Broly back. There is currently a potential loan in the works for Trunks to swap places with Mid Vegeta next year to give us a little bit of dynamic change. There's also a potential 3-way where Raccoon will leave for a year and we get King Cold. That one more than likely won't go through because staff is taking a break right now and needs to consider a lot of things. So more than likely they're not really excited about that loan.
No comment.
So
there's some dynamics in that loan.
Yeah, there's some dynamics in that
I'm
loan.
excited about that loan.
I'm sure you are.
Surely, there's nothing I need to look at when one team's about to improve their weakest link by 15k. Nothing at all.
By basically 3 times.
Yeah, but see, I'm also removing my strongest link by 15k.
True.
By mid Vegeta, so I mean, it's an equal trade, you know.
I was talking about the Zenny personally.
No. You say
But no,
you
yeah,
removed
we're getting Broly back. There might be a potential Super Saiyan change for a year. There might be a Raccoon change. If we don't end up doing the Trunks and Vegeta alone, Muscle Trunks is now an available form for us.
Yep.
So we have a lot of variety, at least with some of our forms. We have quite a good amount of like loan potential. Probably not trades that we would end up doing, but definitely a lot of loans. And so if you also end up enjoying these virtual championships, join Muscle. Also, if you enjoy math, join the stats team.
Who doesn't love math, honestly? And just join the Discord in general. It's such a fun place. We're all very nice. You know, a lot of places you can go, a lot of things you can do.
You know, like if Muscle's not your particular team of choice, like we've got 15 other teams that would love to have you guys, or, you know, even if you're listening to this soon after this goes up, we've still got space in the Tournament of Power that is coming up soon.
Off season, okay.
Yeah.
You'll be definitely seeing some of our faces there.
Yep.
Well, maybe we can incentivize them with this next segment. Mal, are you ready to talk about maybe not all the changes, but some big changes that have come, or are coming, I guess, have come, or coming next year?
Oh God, there's so
DBZ League?
many of them.
I
There's
know.
so many.
Just hit the ones you think the people would enjoy, you know? Us Discord guys, we're all stat heads over here, so we're talking about Patara stuff, but they want to see the new character. They want to see 21.
Yeah. We're gonna see Android, you know, General Blue got turned into chocolate, and now Android 21 is gonna be here. That's a thing. That's probably gonna be one of the biggest changes. She's FA only, so you know we've already seen Budokai start testing her since we relaxed the testing rules there. We've got new map for Archipelago. Replacing Mountain Road Evening, so there's a new biddable map so we might be seeing that every week during the main season. You know, kind of hinted at it earlier, but for World Martial Arts Tournament Evening, that allows for night transformations now. More stuff that people will see, like Kid Gohan, Janemba can now transform into Kid Gohan can transform into Zaru, the same one as Kid Goku's. Janemba can transform into Big Janemba. The biggest one I know all of us in here are probably most excited about is the health pushback damage was cut in half.
Oh, yes. Love that. I don't know what you're doing, Ryan. You would have been great in 2020 when Master Roshi did like 15 health pushbacks in one day. It would have been great. He would have done no damage.
It's not going to be funny when he only eliminates 5,000. It's funny when he eliminates 15, though.
I'm gonna be honest. I completely skipped over this stream because I didn't hear.
Yeah, I can't blame you. It took a lot of wordsmithing to cut this down, like just this part of the announcement down from like 4 pages on like Word to 2.
Yeah.
And there's just so much.
There are also so many people in the watch party talking.
Big shout out to staff,
It was
all the work you put in. I literally was having I was getting like worked up reading through it all. I was just going, what? So you guys like putting all that testing time in? God, that must have been a painful amount of hours.
It was. It really was. Some of the stuff did not need as much testing. Like, a lot of the quality of life stuff, like, you know, swapping around early Piccolo's costume so that, you know, his costume 1 is the turban. You know, a lot of that was not. There's a lot of it that did not require testing. There's a lot of it that did. Costumes did not require testing. Maps didn't really need testing. You know, or any amount of testing done was very minimal. And then, but you know, and even some of the Patara changes, like Aura Charge X can now act like Rising Fighting Spirit. Let's be real, that's not going to take testing, but all the new Pataras, like making sure that some of them are not overpowered for what they are. Like, we had conversations about this from, like, I think I started Patara testing back in, like, April. And did not finish until November.
Jeez.
And that's not even to mention master list discussions that you had to like.
Oh, the master.
Oh yeah, no, that does not include it. Like, honestly, like the irony is the changing 13's passive, you know, changing that from the change for Android 13, where we decided to nerf Blue 13 a little bit in exchange for lifting his high tension ban. Ironically, did not require, like, we still tested it a ton, don't get me wrong, but it did not require as much testing as some of the other things did. Because some of the other things were far scarier, and some things got left on the cutting room floor. And you know, like, kind of like last year we had Glass Cannon not make it into the main league. We had other stuff not make it into the main league this year. And
You gave Peel-Off Power Body, and he was too strong. Couldn't let that happen.
Exactly. But I mean, as I said, like, you see a ton of stuff, and there's still a lot of stuff ongoing. And some stuff we just literally were like, we're not sure with the data we have now. We're just not sure. So we're gonna be working on it. A good example, there are the Super Saiyan rules for, like, you know, like Goku's Super Saiyan 2 and 3 got requested. We could only finish Super Saiyan 2 adult. You know, we looked at several. We have started it. You know, we also got asked to look at Mid Goku's KSA ban, and well, we haven't been able to finish.
Yeah, there's a lot on your plate. There's like a lot there.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like Android 21, dear God. Like, it, on the one hand, it makes, so for those who don't know, like, Vive had his own spin on Android 21 where the human form acted very much like an android. So, like, 5 passive key bars charged, no active charging, things like that, versus Hermogen form, which was like a regular character. And we had to do a lot of testing to get her balanced to where we wanted her to be. And you know, she's not like Jiren, who was intended to be a buff. You know, she's FA locked. She's going to be a much weaker character than Jiren.
Yeah, he made her a sneaky active charger. PU. Passive chargers forever.
Hey, she's got the same passive charge rate as Android 17. She can just only passively charge 1 bar.
But she has the option to actively charge. No, thank you.
Yeah, she has a very slightly above average active charge. Yes. She also key drains with her grab. So, there.
Girotech.
Hey,
Yep.
yeah. Anthony, you may be complaining, but your best character is the passive charger. Or not
True.
passive charger, active
Ooh.
charger. There you go. So,
Who's my best character?
So,
I'd argue 17, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
since we have a staff member here with Malachi, and you know we're talking about the big changes that are happening to the league. Obviously, there were the master list changes, and I was just wondering if you could go into an explanation on a couple of them, just in case like some people don't really understand. Like, obviously, the Boojins became the Boo Saga because, you know, expand their master list, it gives them more viability. That makes sense. For Sentai, I'm kind of like, why is Pilaf added to Sentai? Like, I'm trying to figure that one out.
So, some of the big guiding rules that we had. Number 1 was we cannot move characters. The second one was we're trying not, like, the second big one was what can we do now that does not rely on mods. Because we don't want to be... because understand, like, when it comes to modding, there's only so much we can do before we start eating into characters that can be picked up. Or we run into other problems. And anyone who wants to talk to me about some of those other problems are, we can talk about it later. And so... keeping that in mind, like, it's not just as simple as saying, oh, well, for Sentai, we can just add Topo or Dispo or whoever else. It's, okay, we've got the, sure, we could potentially do that someday, and that would be great, but we've got to do something now. In some cases, like Bujins, the issue for Bujins was not just, hey, they've got a small master list. It's, hey, they have a ton of exclusives. And so part of it is we had to expand their master list, and we had to make it to where, with only 1 or 2 exclusives, they, if they only have 1 or 2 exclusives, like Evil Boo, maybe one other, that's fine, that's great. But we've got to get the rest of their characters on other teams. And so the way to help Bujins was we Dor had a proposal for expanding it, and we ended up adopting what he suggested about a year and a half ago. Now that relates to Sentai, because with Sentai you have a team that only really has one problem, which is they just don't have a really big master list. But it's also a very beloved theme within the community. And so, we don't want to make everyone mad by just dipping and saying, hey, you're not going to get anything, we're just going to kill the theme entirely, because it's just a very discreet, very small theme. And so keeping that in mind, we have to take a step back and say, okay, well, Sentai has a lot of tropes, it has a lot of things going on there. What are some of the things we could potentially pull in? Well, if you think about Sentai, you think about, in America and in the Western world, that's Power Rangers. Well, Power Rangers frequently have secret identities. Is that an angle we can really work? Well, yes it is. You have, say, a woman, say a man, who have their Gohan and Videl identities that could be used along with that. Pilaf, it was an off-the-wall suggestion, and we looked at it, and
He's a Megazord.
We're like, well, it doesn't work, does it? Yeah, it works. I might hate that it works, but it works, and it's an option. And so while on first glance it may not fit, and on staff we even said, look, we're willing to stretch the themes a little, because loans and trades are such a big thing for everybody that yes, we want to preserve the themes, we want them to matter, because we're being told, the people in the community say, hey, these themes matter. I don't want, we don't want, like, Krillin as a core member of Team Namek. Like, we want those teams and themes to matter, but at the same time, we want to expand, and if we have to sacrifice a little bit of the strictest team and theme fidelity, so be it, but we're still gonna, these are the balances that we can live with.
Could we give Krillin a Namekian costume and then put him on
Costumes do not impact master list decisions.
even if he has the antenna?
Costumes do not impact master list decisions.
I feel like it's pretty reasonable at that point. I don't know.
Okay, so
I just wanted my Namekian Krillin.
But
I guess that explains like the Pilaf, because he's like part of a group. He can become a Megazord. He does have like some sort of pose within his suit, so like that allows him to qualify.
And that's the reason why that's a little more stretching of the theme. But we're looking at it, we're like, in its own really dumb way, it fits, and it but yes, but that also may explain some of the other questions people may have had, like
Personally, the only ones that I don't really understand are the Cooler and King Cold to muscle. Like,
And Cooler gets big.
everything
gets
else
big.
I can see. Like, oh, you have Kid Buu and Garlic Jr. Obviously, he's like kid size. He's a child of somebody else. Like, obviously, Nameks end up getting the Super Buu expansions as well as Cell and Cell Jr. Like, those make sense. I'm still a little confused on the Cooler and King Cold.
Cooler, if you look at that one, comes from the movie. Like, if you watch the transformation sequence more so than what's in the game, like, he is really bulging in the movie. Cold, I will just say, like, there are arguments that instead of going as strictly as Old Saf did by, if you're debating it, they're not muscly enough, we're like, look, if you look at them, proportionally to other, like, if you compared second form Frieza to King Cold, for example, like, you're gonna see King Cold is much bulkier. He just looks to be much thicker on that, like, especially in the, I think it was
The Broly movie.
yeah, it might have been the Broly movie, but like, he just looks musclier than second form Frieza. That being said, I will just say those were very hotly contested ones.
And yet you still won't give Team Muscle Zarbon.
You don't want Zarbon. You must stay exclusive.
Not even going there. Not even going there.
I mean, the Cooler one does make a little bit of sense because the movie he's like genuinely hurting and roiding out, transforming.
He is getting big.
Cooler makes more sense than Zarbon, personally. I just think Zarbon, he's got fat rolls.
One day,
Zarbon.
Zarbon. One day.
Yeah, like, and that's the way to look at it. Like, with Zarbon, he's getting thick, yes, but it's thick fat. It's not thick muscle.
I bet he can lift as much as Broly. He put his mind to it.
That's
power lifter.
That's good.
He's
Put
got
a
a
lot of
muscle
mind
gut.
to it.
He's got a weightlifter gut.
I do have a few questions
Sure.
for Mal here. One of them, I see you guys added the junior division to Budokai. What was the thoughts on that?
The smart aleck responses, we realized they fit a whole bunch of other places. What's one more?
True that.
Second question. Reason for Garlic Jr. on Derp. Why?
Because he kept opening the dead zone.
All
Yeah,
right,
why
thank you.
did he open this?
I needed that cleared up because, like, if you look at it in hindsight, the meaning of Derp is if they don't appear as strong as people make them out to be. But Garlic is beating the shit out of Goku and Piccolo.
Yep. Like, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, Derp especially has an extremely, like, what qualifies as a Derp is extremely subjective. Like, a really good example of this is, like, last year when people asked us to add Jason Birder to Derp, we said no because, like, yes, they were hyped up, and then Goku curb stomped them.
I waited 10 episodes for those guys.
But we saw that not as much of them as a derp as it was like, look, they're fodder to build up Goku and to build up the coming Goku versus Frieza fight. And so some of it is just subjective, like what some people saw as a derp, other people are not going to. Like, when it comes to Garlic Jr., it was, look, this guy was winning, and then the only he does the only thing that can cause him to lose
Twice.
Not twice. Like, the first time it's forgivable, second time, no. And so that's why Derp has that restriction. Like, I think he has to start in his big form in order to be on Derp, sort of like how Frieza
He has to
Yeah.
be in big form, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Yamcha wasn't on there before. I thought he was. That shocked me.
Yeah, and Yamcha, to be clear, like this, because this came up in our discussions, like a lot of it came down to more his attitude in Dragon Ball than it did his and he may have been on there at one point where, you know, when
He's
Yamcha
the
was,
Cyberman dad. We all know.
yeah, we know, but like the consensus was at one point, like the comedic aspect of that comes more from Dragon Ball Z Abridged than it does the actual show. Where, because if you look at it in the actual show, it's played very seriously. It's not played for comedy. But in Dragon Ball, like, it kind of becomes the running gag that Yamcha hypes himself out to be able to fight anybody. His only win against Goku was because Goku was hungry. Every other time he gets his tail kicked.
True.
And so, like, after a certain point, it just becomes a running gag, and it just, you know, his braggadociousness is what got him killed.
Yeah.
Well,
another one then, Captain Ginyu for
Derp. I don't fully remember that part of the conversation, honestly.
The captain.
Well, didn't he take it? He just because he was not that strong, took over Goku's body and then was like trounced because he couldn't control his body.
He also went into a frog for a long time.
Yeah.
That's pretty messed up.
With Gin, okay, that's jogging my memory. It's coming back to kind of a lot of that of he's getting hyped, and it kind of falls in similar with Jason Birder, where Ginyu was super hyped up, and then he fights against Goku, lets Goku power up all the way, has a freak out over him, body changes with Goku, still can't beat Krillin or Gohan. And then as he's gaining control back over the body, he tries to body change with Vegeta and then gets changed back into his original body and a frog.
Mhm.
Like, but by the end of it, it's really dumb how he gets beaten.
and
It's
then
real
Bulma,
Dragon Ball
and then a
ending.
frog again.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, and then comes back in Super and then gets trounced again. So
Yeah.
you want to count it?
Well,
I mean, and after a point, it just gets really dumb. And, you know, again, kind of like with Jason Birder, even if a year ago we may not have accepted that line of reasoning, in the interest of giving Derp more options for trading and loans, you know, it's a line. It's a line we're willing to push a bit because but you know, understand, like, unless and until we can just simply import all of the BT4 characters, like these are probably the last masterless adjustments we're going to be able to do for the foreseeable future, unless of course we just miss something blatantly obvious.
You did. Dr. Giroux still on Derp. He's a brilliant scientist. He deserves better.
All right,
Yeah.
I got a new one. It would be Bardock belongs on Derp because as a brilliant scientist creating technology to transform into ape, he can't do it himself.
He's a Derp.
what is it? I do have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to a little bit earlier with the Android 21 stuff. I know you weren't meaning to make her as strong as Jiren, but why 21 of all characters?
I can get into that a little, because we did look at a few characters other than 21, but 21 became a front runner for a few reasons. One, as I said earlier, we've only got so many people that are available for us to nuke. For those who don't know, with the current state of modding that we in the league can currently do, in order to add a character, someone's got to go away. The moment that changes, Frieza Soldier and General Blue are getting wished back by the Dragon Balls.
The Super Dragon Balls.
Yep. So, and so because of that, we've got to be very careful with who we bring in. And so we've got to look at, okay, who is going to make the most generate the most excitement for people? Who is going to generate enough, who's going to draw in the views on YouTube that could help us get new people? Who is going to, and then on top of that, like from now back to the practical perspective a little bit, who is actually available for us to use? Like we're not going to go and ask Vive or another modder to wholesale make a new character for us, from scratch. And so, like, if there's not an existing mod available, they're not on our radar at all. And so once you start adding in all these different factors, it really limits like who we can use and who's actually available to look at for inclusion. Like with Jiren, let's be real, Frieza Soldier was always going to be first on the list. Nobody was using him. Nobody was interested in making him a viable character in the league. I don't know that he could have been in the current league meta. Aside as hey, your team's gotta have a free agent, so here's a cheap free agent.
Here's a anyone, yeah.
Yeah. Blue's kind of in the same tier. Like he is probably better than Frieza Soldier, but he's in the same tier.
Yeah.
And so like, but at the same time, like Jiren, as I said earlier, like he was intended to buff Sentai because they needed that buff. No other team was really as underpowered as Sentai was. Arguably Derp was and is, but they've consistently been able to at least reach, 5'10", 6'9", even without a top tier free agent.
Yeah.
So like, even though they're on the weaker side of competitive, like don't get me wrong, they're on the weaker side. They're still within that boundary of, hey, this team is competitive and can have good performances in the league. And with Android 21 now, it's just when it comes down to it, and we say, hey, we want a character to be a 40k character or 45k character, we can mess with the numbers and B1s and all that all we want to make them what we want them to be, because we tried early on when we said, hey, we wanted Android 21 to be unique. We tried giving her the fastest passive charge rate in the game.
Wow. All right.
With like a 3-bar passive charge. That did not go well.
That sounds intense.
A little too
That
strong.
was
That was
150,000 damage every single match.
It wasn't quite that scary, but she was doing with her current stuff, like with a kit close to what she has now, with just her charge rate set that high, and with everything else she had at that time, she was probably averaging closer to 60 to 65k, maybe. So, and this is all rough testing that was done months ago. Like it was kind of crazy. So like, even though those numbers may not be exactly accurate, like some of the initial stuff we started with was really crazy, and we had to we had to mod and adjust a lot to get her where we wanted her to be. So many tests.
He was in the testing dungeon for a long time on that. I bet.
Yes, I was.
Before we go to wrap up, I do have one last question, okay? Was Android 15 the small purple android ever in consideration?
Not this year.
Oh. What about
and-
the big muscle one?
And no, and I'll tell you why, because we didn't find workable mods for them until after we had decided on 21.
Oh no.
So-
Can I
Ban
ask
your
a question,
inboxes.
like, completely, like, it's not about which characters specifically, but more, like, was the FA always intended to be, or was the character, sorry, always intended to be an FA, like, from the start? Like, the character you were going to add, in this
For-
case, 21.
Yeah, for Android 21, once we decided it was going to be her, simply looking at the teams that could have potentially gotten her, we knew from the outset she would always be FA only.
But was that, like, your mindset before you picked 21, though? Like, was it, like, when you went to add a character, was it, we're going to add a character that's going on the FA list, or...
Yeah, I know what you're asking. I'm trying to think of how to say it in a way without revealing too much. But there have been other characters we have looked at that would not have been FA locked.
Okay,
And
that's...
we did not use them, in part because it kind of went... in large measure, one of the key things Android 21 had going for her is she's a lot more easily hypeable at the moment, especially in 2022 compared to, other choices we had available. She's so much more easily hypeable and can generate a lot more excitement. Like, if we were to bring in, I'm trying to think, like, if we were to bring in Drum, for example,
I would have cried. I would have cheered from the rafters for my boy.
or Adult Chi-Chi, like, if we brought in some of those lesser known or more niche characters, or even one of the Spice Boys from the Garlic movie.
Let's go.
Sure, it might hit a few of the Dragon Ball fanboys or or fans of those specific movies, but it would not have appealed to the wider audience in the same way that Android 21 potentially could. And so that for us was really the biggest factor in favor. And of course, as I'm sure you all can guess, as soon as Kaio heard the idea of Android 21 even being remotely a possibility, he was all for that one.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
I know exactly what we should have done instead of Android 21. We should have modded General Blue to be Barry Khan.
Now we're cooking with grease, guys. Let's go.
But yeah, that hit your questions.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. I think it's about that time, boys, that we wrap up the final Capsule Cast for this season. Before we go, just want to throw out a couple of shout outs to the modding team, the artwork squad, the testing division, all of staff, and everybody who's in the league right now. If you want to be a part of this, it's a very fun thing. Everything's volunteer. We're all creating this thing together. So join the Discord. Check out the website if you want to see all the rules and all the updates. Twitter for, notifications. TikTok for shorts. Shout out our boy Tosh. And just subscribe to the YouTube channel. Comment. Be in the live chat. Be around, We love all the engagement. I've been your host, Anthony. These have been my co-hosts, Destiny and xmat.
Bye bye. See you next season.
And I'll see ya. And don't forget that soon we'll be having TOP.
Yes.
Yep.
Check out TOP. It's lit.
And TOP has access to all of the mods. So they've got everything, I think, except maybe for Archipelago. So
they definitely do have 21 there.
Yep.
She is there. She's
And
expensive. He is also expensive. Shout out to the bowl winner and coach of Team Muscle, Ryan, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And a very special thank you to Mal, who does not make an appearance on Capsule Cast often, but we're always happy to have him. So thank you, Mal.
Glad to join.
All right. Well, I guess we're heading out. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Bye.